So for those of you who were not here this morning, the Digital Lab Africa is an initiative by the French Institute in South Africa in partnership with DISCOP and with Trace. And its focus is on helping discover the new African talents in the fields of multimedia. So we have 4 categories today. This morning we did digital music and virtual reality. And this afternoon we'll do serious games and a combined category between web creation and transmedia. So we have 15 finalists in total pitching today out of 522 applications from across Africa. Some of them are pitching in English, some of them are pitching in French. We'll have a French pitch later, so if you want to grab a headset to be able to follow that pitch later on with simultaneous translation, please do so. What is at stake here? The winners, so there will be 1 winner per category. The winners will get a cash prize of 3,000 euros, but even more importantly than that, they will win a ticket to join the Digital Lab Incubator Program in France, lasting between 3 and 6 months, where they'll be mentored by leading companies in their fields who will help them really develop their project further and find distribution for their projects. So today this afternoon we're going to do serious games and web creation transmedia. And we're going to start with the serious games category. I don't know where I can go, where I cannot go, where my mic is going to be. Is it fine? This way. Okay, very good. So for those of you who don't know what serious games are, it's basically using the technology of gaming to educate people, inform on topics that can be educational, for example. So there's a whole trend today where corporations and big companies, but also international or governmental agencies, trying to reach out to the people that they want to speak to using interactive elements and using games. So this is the category that we're going to see today, and that is potentially a very big opportunity for the gaming industry in Africa. There's a lot that Africa can contribute here, and we're going to see this in the next 3 projects. So if everything is fine over there on the technical team, I'm going to call the first candidate for today, Musafiri Mbilini from Tanzania. And we can clap for him to encourage him. Welcome. Sorry? The jury, I forgot to introduce the jury. So you will wait for a second, I'm sorry, while I introduce the jury. So, Frederick, who you've already met this morning, but maybe you want to say a little something about this category from the point of view of Digital Lab.
Hello, I'm Frederick. I know most of you here, but welcome for those just arriving. Yes, so serious game is our 3rd category, and as you said, this is exactly that. Serious game is a very emerging but potentially important sector for the serious game and for the all creative industries in South Africa and in Africa. More and more studios are doing that. That's true here, that's true in Europe. This is a big business, big potential in terms of corporate, NGOs, government. Nick will say a word, maybe there's the provincial government in Cape Town commissioning games to convey messages, and it's going to be more and more the case because the generation we're talking about, the 15, 25, they use game every day in their life, so people want to be there with us to convey the message. So that's why we chose serious game as a category, and we're very happy with that, and we hope to see great project we have selected. Just a reminder, we received more than 500 entries in total. We selected 15 finalists, so you have here on stage now really the best of the best, including in serious games. So enjoy the pitch and let the best win.
Yes. So and next to you we have Jordi Ambin, is that how you say your name?
Yes.
Yes, from CCP Studio. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your company does and what you're expecting to see here today?
Yes, so hello everyone. In CCCP we work for a large variety of people, but we more specialize in the health sector. for teach people to learn about a disease or to treat this. Serious game can really cover a large scope of a project, of a subject. And we can see here in the Digital Lab Africa, there is a lot of, there were a lot of projects, and now again with these 3 projects we will see in pitch today, you can see very different subject and interesting subject. So I'm forward to see this, and as you say, Frederic, let's see who wins.
And next to you is Nicholas Hall. So Nicholas, you're the CEO of Interactive Entertainment South Africa and the founder of Make Games South Africa. So same question to you. What exactly is your company focused on, or your 2 organizations, and what are you looking for today?
So Interactive Entertainment South Africa, ISA, is the industry body for game developers in the country. We cover, we represent at a government and policy development level companies that do serious games, games for entertainment, virtual reality, augmented reality. Make Games South Africa is South Africa's largest online game developer community. It's got over 2,000 developers on sort of that participate on that platform. Yeah, I'm just I'm excited that we've got a serious games pitch competition. We've identified the serious games as a growth opportunity for the local industry. There's a serious need. There's many problems that can be solved through serious games, and it offers an opportunity for local developers to have a real impact in, in their world and their communities. What's interesting is that we're starting to get traction, even from government, for example, thanks to some of the lobbying that we've been able to do. And there's a serious games competition in the Western Cape that's been funded by the Western Cape government for development of a serious game to help them making policy decisions, which is fantastic. So hopefully we'll see some exciting stuff today.
Great. Good. Well, thank you for waiting your turn up there. So tell us a bit more. So without getting into too many details, because you'll have 5 minutes for your pitch, but tell us where you're from, what the name of your company is, and what project you're bringing to us today.
Okay, my name is Safiri Mbilini, and my company is called Bongo's Productions. We specialize in animation and game designing, and we're based in Tanzania.
And your project is first.
Okay.
Are we ready with the clock? We're good. So we're going to start the clock for you. 5 minutes, and you're on.
Okay, so Total First Aid is a serious game that helps the player to be able to perform first aid techniques on an infant or toddler. So mtoto is derived from a Swahili word which means child. So talking about children, I have a 1-year-old son. So when he was a few months old, we were playing a game with some coins. But then I dozed off at points, and then I looked at the coins we were playing with and noticed that one of the coins was missing. So at that point, I knew that he had put the coin in his mouth and he was choking. And at that point, I had no idea how to perform any first aid technique. So at that point, I decided to call a couple of people who I thought might be able to help. So I called one of them told me that put the baby upside down and shake him, and the coin will come out. The other one told me, no, tap him on the back several times. So after torturing my son for a few minutes, I just realized that no, actually the coin was just hidden somewhere, and my son was just okay. I just overreacted. But from that point, that's when now I realized how serious the situation was, and that's when I wanted to research more on first aid and if there's anything which I can do to help, because I realized after research, it's quite alarming of the number of people who are illiterate in first aid. And also the infant mortality rate is also quite high. According to the UN, it's currently at 29,000 per day. So we're trying to create a game which can help maybe the parents or caretakers be able to learn a few basic techniques which would be able to save a life. So the game is a single-player game. It's 3D animated, and it's for Android, PC, as well as iOS devices. So I'd now like to show how the game actually works. So when you start the game, you have options of there are 10 categories which you can choose from. So you'll be able to choose which category you want to play. So in this case, I've chosen choking, and you're given tips at each point as you'll be playing the game. So there the player now will be shown directions of what to do. So in this case, the player is told to pick up the baby, and you're taken through a series of steps on how to perform the particular technique. So here it's the first step was to check inside the baby's mouth, and if there's nothing there, you move on to the next step, and you're shown the position of how to position your baby and how exactly the technique should be performed. Then from there, now the player can be able to try it on their own to see if they'll be able to perform the same technique on their child. So like in this case, there's another step. In case that step fails, you can now perform this other step, which is the chest thrust. So now you're shown exactly again the position of the baby and how to actually perform the technique. So the player will be able to perform those techniques, and then if they've done well, then it will show that the baby has been saved, or if not, if you didn't follow the instructions properly, maybe you have to play again, or you'll see. So that is how the game is actually played. Then we also have options of, you can choose because here we're talking of infants and toddlers, and there are different techniques for both. So you can choose either to play for an infant or for a toddler. Then you can also choose the parent. You can play as the father, the mother, or a babysitter. So we have those different options which a player can actually choose from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You had an extra 30 seconds to spare, but you went through the end of your pitch, and it was all good, so don't worry. We're now going to move to the questions from the jury. So who wants to ask the first question about Mtoto First Aid? No, it's not.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll start. I've got a question about the content. So it's about first aid for toddlers or little ones, correct?
Yes.
So, and of course, it's very sensitive and very difficult. You are not
absolutely.
allowed to make a mistake because the
Yes,
life of a baby may be at stake. My question is, do you have a partner? Do you have a scientific partner, a medical partner, which brings into this project the legitimacy, the knowledge, the competence for you to be sure to display the right thing to do? Or are you planning to add that?
Yes, we're currently partnering with some specialists, first aid specialists, and also with the Red Cross. So the techniques which we'll be animating, they're according to the International First Aid and Resuscitation Organization standards. So we make sure the specialists advises us on how the technique should be performed, and after we do the animation, we take it through him again to check how accurate it is.
Who are these specialists?
Sorry?
Who are these specialists? Who are they?
It's the specialist I'm consulting is a medical doctor who also works for the Ministry of Health.
Okay, another question? Jordi, Nicholas?
So I have a question about the actual gameplay.
Yes.
So it's not clear from the video, but it appears to be that you know, sort of it displays sort of the technique that you should be doing, but what does the player actually do?
Sorry, I didn't get the...
So you're in the game, so
Yes.
with the choking one, for example,
Yes, yes.
it shows how to perform the Heimlich maneuver on a toddler.
Yeah, yeah.
It shows that, but what's the gameplay?
As in the
how do I-
gameplay, as in, like it's, like after showing you what to do, so now the player will be able to perform it now on their own, using their mobile or whatever device they're using. So you'll be able to do maybe if it's the chest thrust, you'll be able to do the chest thrust on the baby in the actual game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to follow up, it means if you do the wrong gesture, the baby dies. If you do the right one, what happens? Do you have some sort of reward? Do you some sort of path?
Yes, there's even a timer, like you have a specific time, like you have to perform a certain task within the certain periods. And then if you do the wrong one, in the game, the baby dies. Then if it's successful, then the baby will be fine.
For your game, you will need a very large amount of animation and 3D. Are you ready to have the people and the contact to do this, all this animation, all this 3D?
Is your team proficient enough in 3D to be able to develop this game? Because it involves a lot of animation. Yeah. So tell us a bit more about your team.
Yes, we have, our team we have some highly skilled animators, and we have worked on several animation projects, where some of them game design, others on TV commercials and film. So we have quite a competent team which we can work on this game. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got two questions that are linked to each other. The one is that how are you intending to distribute the game? And so one of the issues with serious games is always, tends to be, especially depending on the content of the game, is that why would somebody download it and how do you get it to them? So that's the first question. What's your distribution plan? Yeah. And secondly, how are you intending it? Is there a monetization strategy in place? How is this game going to be able to sustain you to make future games?
Well, our business model for this game is actually consumer based, so we'll market it to the public and other partners who would involve in the game. So we're hoping that with that we'll be able to get to where we want to get to.
And a question linked to that, maybe more precise. What's your target, basically, in terms of players?
The target...
Just let me finish. Target in terms of players,
yes,
and target in terms of partners. Who are you thinking partnering with?
Okay. Like for the target players, it's mainly parents who have small children, or anyone who's around children, maybe babysitters and maybe preschool teachers. So those are the main target market. And the partners which we are trying to get involved in are the Red Cross, Save the Children, and also UNICEF.
Do we have any questions from the room? Any questions about Mtoto First Aid? No, everything is crystal clear.
I've got the last one.
Okay,
From the DLA point of view, as DLA, I want to ask you, what is your expectation? What are your needs towards DLA? What are you waiting for us? What do you think we can bring to your project?
Like the mentorship would be a great help, because we are not really trained in these types of games. Like most of our animation is self-taught in most cases. So like if we get a more professional advice from people who are more experienced in these types of games, that would really help a lot.
Okay. I think you have done your job here. There's no more questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And we're going to move on to our second candidate for Serious Games. So I'm calling Denny Day from QCF Films. Design, sorry, QCF Design. up on stage. And we'll reset, yes, we can encourage him as well, and we can reset the clock also. So first of all, tell us your name, where you're from, the name of your company, and the name of the project you'll be presenting today.
My name is Danny Day. I run a studio called QCF Design down in Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm going to be presenting a project called Mastermind that I'm looking at rebooting.
Wonderful. Clock is ready. We'll start it for you. Let's go. Yeah, here you go.
So 10 years ago, somebody asked me if a game could teach maths on cell phones. And as a game designer, that's a really interesting question. I think everybody can agree that maths education is generally considered to be lacking, tactfully. But games are fun, and maths is fun. So if we put the two together, fun for everyone, right? Except that most people are painstakingly taught that maths is not fun. And this is one of the frustrations at the core of edutainment. It buys into the idea that learning isn't fun and that we need to trick people into doing it. And the more we trick people into doing learning with fun stuff, the more people will resent the learning itself. Plus, of course, why would somebody want to do something boring on their cell phones? Even in 2006, cell phones were already these really good distractors. So why would somebody do something with math? The solution for us was to try and design a game that didn't require mathematical skill. We built the game first. But as you progressed through the game, it used math as sort of this key to understanding harder and harder puzzles. In the end, you were using math as secret knowledge to solve really impossible-looking puzzles that you wouldn't have been able to solve in the beginning. We called that game Mastermind, and there should be a video. Ready? Great. Okay. It looked like this. The project itself, sorry, I'm going to keep talking because it's just
Can we play the video?
a long video, yeah. No, there's no audio. Sorry.
Oh, so that's the video.
Yeah, I'm just going to carry on talking.
Sure.
This was given to, on 20 cell phones to grade 10 learners in rural Mpumalanga, a South African province. They were all between the ages of 15 and 16. And Mastermind, this project, performed way better than we'd expected. Firstly, it pushed players. Over the course of 2 weeks, every single player was actually playing grade 12 content. They were grade 10s that we'd slipped into the game and called Genius Mode. And the teachers had told us that this was way too hard, but we ignored them and made it even more difficult, and all the players ended up leapfrogging 2 years of their schooling career, which seems like a good idea. Secondly, the game was shared. Mastermind tracked progress using profiles because it's really important for learning. And in the end of the project, we found out that every phone had at least 3 different profiles on it. That means that the learners were giving the game to their friends to play. When was the last time you were excited to share a maths lesson with someone? And finally, the game was played a lot. In 2007, the average playtime for a mobile game was 32 seconds. And yet, across all the profiles of Mastermind, we were looking at 10 hours of gameplay a week. And phones weren't allowed in schools, so this is 10 hours of non-school, non-homework, voluntary maths each week. But that was 10 years ago. I've spent the last decade making games with my company, QCF Design. In 2011, we won the Excellence in Design Award at the Independent Games Festival in San Francisco for a prototype that we called Desktop Dungeons. The IGF is sort of the games industry equivalent of Sundance, if that helps put things into perspective. We were the first African studio to be nominated, and we ended up winning. Desktop Dungeons took 4 more years of work, but it's become our most successful game to date. Over 170,000 players have played the game and bought it across Android, iOS, and PC. And a lot of our other work has been all over the place. Some of it has even appeared in TED Talks about changing the world. I still feel pretty strongly about changing how people view maths education. And Mastermind did that for all 60 people that played it. The issue was that in 2007, it was completely the wrong time to do what we were trying to do. We didn't have the manpower to make the hundreds of versions that you needed to deal with the hardware fragmentation of the feature phone marketplace. These days, phones are either Android or iOS. That's 2. That's easy. We didn't have ways to get the game to players. Stores like the Android App Store and, the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store didn't exist. But these days, we distribute on both. We actually helped other South African studios start distributing on those. And also, we didn't have ways to produce awareness for the game. Partnering with educational institutions at the time didn't work. These days we have things like Kickstarter to get that awareness snowball rolling. And finally, we're better designers now. So we can get rid of all the text in the game and make it more language agnostic. And also, I'm looking forward to changing those graphics. So Mastermind is in a unique position in terms of educational games. The focus isn't on the educational validity of what it does. We've already proven that it teaches players as they're playing. What we need to do now is we need to modernize it so that we can put it in front of players that need it the most, and that's the really hard work. That's what we need DLA to help us do. Because Mastermind has been without players for too long. And without players, it's not a game. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well. So now we're going to hear from the jury. Who has the first question for Danny about Mastermind?
Just at the end, you tell this is not the final graphics, but how do you plan to really accentuate the feedbacks of victory, of a good answer? Because for now, I think this is the thing
Yes, so we have a game, a concept called juice in the games industry, and this is a very not juicy game. One of the reasons was memory limitations on feature phones back in the day. We weren't able to really insert a lot of graphics. These days, I mean, smartphones are little miracle devices. You can do whatever you want on them. So we would use a lot of secondary animation and secondary feedback patterns to get stuff across to players. That's one of the ways that I would make it less language heavy, is by adding in-context animations and little tweaks to help players learn stuff. We learned a lot in terms of UI with Desktop Dungeons, so I'm keen to apply that to this.
Okay, so again, my question is, so I mean, I remember this this project, and originally was partnered with Nokia, I think, correct? So, I mean, this comes down to, it does kind of go back to that core issue that you raised, is while the game may be fun, how do you have a partner, or is there any plans to partner with somebody to get this out? What is your distribution plan?
So distribution is always the biggest issue in terms of any game. You need some sort of unique marketing story. You need a reason for people to pay attention to it. For Mastermind, we were looking at running a Kickstarter campaign, hopefully with some sort of a twist to it, so that if you get to a certain amount of stretch goals, whatever, then the game is free to everybody, that sort of thing, because that's something that can drive a pretty good story. Also, if your stretch goals, if you continue past your stretch goals, do things like provide hardware to disadvantaged kids somewhere, that sort of thing. That's the sort of marketing story that we're looking at promoting with the game. We're looking at partners. We're not averse to partnering with educational institutions. We're not averse to having people help distribute the game. The biggest issue is that in the past, and with other projects we've done with the World Bank and other things with Nokia, for instance, those partners have both gotten in the way of making the game good and not been able to help produce an actual game. So step one for us is modernize this, make it a lot better, and then figure out a good marketing story. That's what we would use the incubation for.
And so it comes back to what you just said. Do you think this game can reach an audience by itself, knowing that, as you said, maths is boring? Or do you really need a partner like education, provincial government, national education government, big NGO? In terms of distribution and reach and economic model, how do you see that?
So one of the interesting things that happened with this project is that we found out that if you branded it as exclusively a maths learning tool and a game as well, people really wanted to play it. And that was interesting for us because we'd always assumed that that was, not the case. And everywhere where we've shown sort of the early version of the game, people have been really into it and people have been really keen on getting involved. I made a card game version a few months ago and that was really interesting as well. So people seem to care because they can feel it working. They can feel it making their math skills better. And from an educational perspective, that's great. If we can find partners from an educational perspective as well, so an NGO level or a national education department level, that's fine. But it's almost like in order to bypass the issues with our current education systems globally, why not go direct to people's handsets? Why not go direct to people's tablets? So I'd be more interested in partners that could help us do that sort of direct marketing and that sort of direct reach. Hence things like Kickstarter, hence things like trying to produce a worthwhile story that people will want to share.
And then, if I may follow, who will be your target? What will be your target? It's like 8 to 16 students. It's
So the initial prototype was built for 15 to 16 on a very specific syllabus. We've since tested that same syllabus on players as young as 9, and it worked fine. So we had 9-year-olds doing grade 10 and grade 12 work, which is an enormous gap. The focus would very much be on if you feel you need to do this math. So again, children, younger players, unfortunately you can't really market to them directly, so the idea would be to market to their parents and sort of say, hey, you can help your children be better at math. There is already an established kind of like section of the App Store that does that. Math education games are relatively popular already. There was that Dragon Math one recently that was about math as a separate language that you learn. So we've been sort of tracking that and going, okay, market's kind of right for this sort of thing now. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of the question.
Was it, I think, the target? No? Target audience, yeah, that was it.
I actually have a question. Can you customize the game? Can you customize the puzzles that you put in the game if you were to work with a particular school or a particular organization, or could you use, the template of the game to adapt it to their syllabus?
Yes, that's a very good question actually, and I'm glad you asked it. Thank you. There's a bit of technical wizardry going on in the game. It will generate an endless number of puzzles, and it uses recipes and methods to produce that are things that we can tailor to a specific syllabus. So in the version that you saw there was arithmetic, inequalities, graphs, and then Genius Mode. Genius Mode was sort of all of the above combined, and each of the individual sections was a separate part of the grade 10 syllabus. So yes, we can totally tailor it to any kind of mathematical syllabus. You can tailor it to different syllabi globally. You can tailor it to different aspects of those syllabi. That's one of the ways that we considered perhaps monetizing it, by allowing parents to sort of go, well, for instance, the French mathematical education system is much better than, say, the one in the US. So why not buy that syllabus, technically speaking, so that their kids would then be able to play endless puzzles generated from a French syllabus or a Swedish syllabus or something along those lines.
Okay.
Just always the same question from my point of view. You said you need DLA to modernize the games because it's a revamped version. And, how do you see you working with CCCP, because this is going to be the partner, the mentor? Mm-hmm. What's the point of going to France for 1 month in a cluster? How do you see that, if it's just modernizing or revamp an existing version?
So the modernizing and the revamp, you're totally correct. QCF can do that on its own. What QCF can't do is kickstart. So we can't have Kickstarters in South Africa. It's not possible. A South African company cannot kickstart something. So we need a partner to do that. What I would see a mentor or an incubator providing, and something like CCCP could provide, is support and help to produce that marketing story that drives the awareness of the game. That is the most important thing that something like Mastermind needs, is it needs that attention. And it needs a story that makes people want to tell everybody else, hey, here's this cool game, I played it, I got a hell of a lot better at math, my kid is now a genius, yay. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking to try and do. You're correct. In terms of development, this is what we do. We know how to do that part. The marketing is the part we don't know how to do.
Okay. Actually, we have a minute left, and I have another question. You said that there were already quite a lot of math games out there that were actually quite popular. How are you different, and what's so special about Mastermind that will make you rise above the fray?
Also a good question. I've been tracking the sort of educational games market for over a decade now. I used to do a lot of educational games before Mastermind, and Mastermind was our reaction to, as I said, the problem with edutainment. which is that it felt like there was a spoonful of sugar approach. I think in my documentation I wrote covering broccoli in chocolate, which is a thing I stole from Ian Bogost. It's not my words. And that's sort of a problem because this idea that learning is not fun is just wrong. I mean, we're apes. We enjoy learning. It's what we do. And if you provide a space in which people can learn in a fun way, they will keep learning and they will come back and they will continue doing that. That's what Mastermind is very much designed to do. A lot of math edutainment games are not designed to do that at all. They follow the very standard edutainment model. So Mastermind focuses very differently. And according to the market that I've been following, there's nothing else like it. The gameplay is unique in the math space, and the focus is unique in the math space.
Okay, thank you. And time is up. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to the last competitor in this category, who will actually pitch in French. Diakité Amadou-Kaba, c'est à vous. So those of you who do not speak French, please take a headset to get the simultaneous translation. They're right behind you at the end of the room. Comment ça va? Ça va.
Ça va.
Alors, on va donc faire cette section en français. Je vais vous demander de vous présenter comme les autres candidats, avec votre nom, le pays d'où vous venez, le nom de votre compagnie et le nom de votre projet, s'il vous plaît.
D'accord. Chers jurés, honorables invités, bonsoir. Je suis Kaba Diakité Amadou, CEO de WorkD. WorkD est une start-up qui propose des solutions informatiques adaptées au contexte africain. Et nous avons aussi comme cœur d'activité le domaine des jeux vidéo.
Et vous venez de Côte d'Ivoire.
Et je viens de Côte d'Ivoire.
Très bien. Are we ready with the clock? We're good? Voilà votre temps et c'est à vous.
Digital Lab Africa a été pour WorkD une expérience extraordinaire et j'avoue que nous avons hésité sur la façon de présenter aujourd'hui Points. Finalement, nous avons décidé d'être sincères et de vous raconter une histoire. Et donc, il était une fois en Côte d'Ivoire, 4 garçons d'origines diverses jouaient chacun dans son école à un jeu. Un jeu de stratégie dont le principe est simple. Faire un carré en marquant des points. Grâce à ce jeu, ils ont appris de nombreuses choses. Ils ont appris à développer leurs capacités cognitives, à améliorer leur sens de l'attention et à améliorer leur sens de la stratégie aussi. 8 années plus tard, ces devenus 4 jeunes hommes, ils se sont rencontrés en classe d'ingénieurs et ils avaient pour vision d'exporter la culture africaine au travers de ces jeux qui ne sont pas que ludiques. Pour ce faire, ils sont retournés dans leurs écoles respectives pour vérifier que ces jeux étaient toujours joués. Mais il fut déçu car plus personne n'y jouait. Les enfants jouaient maintenant à des jeux sur leur smartphone qui ne leur apprenaient pas forcément grand-chose sur l'Afrique. Si rien n'était fait, ce jeu qui leur a tant appris allait donc disparaître. Pas que lui, tous les autres jeux qui sont aussi propres à la culture africaine et qu'on ne joue plus trop. Ils ont donc décidé, vu qu'ils connaissaient les jeux qui étaient pratiqués, vu que les jeunes de maintenant et les enfants jouaient avec leur smartphone, de leur apporter Points, qui est la version adaptée de Point sur ces smartphones-là, en ajoutant quelques règles de sorte à rendre ce jeu beaucoup plus intéressant. C'est donc ainsi qu'est né Points, dans le souci de lutter contre la disparition des jeux de la culture africaine, de faire la promotion de cette richesse-là que nous avons. Dans Points, vous incarnez Papou, le personnage principal qui est un élève qui arrive dans une école où tout le monde joue à Points. Et cet élève va, au fur et à mesure, jouer et sortir de l'école. C'est une magnifique expérience humaine grâce à laquelle vous allez rencontrer les icônes de la culture africaine et que vous devrez affronter afin de devenir le meilleur joueur à Points. Points est disponible et est joué actuellement dans plus de 40 pays. Nous avons 70 stages, 6 modes de jeu et 4 personnages principaux. La prochaine étape est l'intégration d'un mode online qui permettra aux personnes de s'affronter de partout dans le monde et l'ajout de questions simples qui permettront aux joueurs d'engranger des coris, car les coris sont la monnaie que nous utilisons dans le jeu, tout en apprenant davantage sur l'Afrique. Un mois après le lancement de notre phase pilote, nous avons quelques chiffres. Nous avons 4500 likes sur nos pages Facebook, une note de 4,5 sur 5 qui a été attribuée par plus de 200 joueurs, plus de 3000 téléchargements Android et un site internet qui fonctionne. La stratégie de Points est le freemium. Le jeu est gratuit au téléchargement et au fur et à mesure que vous avancez, vous avez la possibilité d'acheter des boosts pour faciliter votre avancement. Le jeu étant disponible sur Android et PC, nous travaillons à le rendre disponible sur les autres plateformes et aussi à intégrer le mobile banking, qui est le système de paiement qui est le plus utilisé en Afrique. La campagne de promotion de Points se fera via les réseaux sociaux et via Facebook. Et nous comptons faire une grande campagne à l'échelle africaine de sorte à augmenter notre base de joueurs. Nous sommes à 34 000 € de notre lancement en Afrique et les résultats attendus sont en moyenne 190 000 € par an. Pour finir, il faut retenir qu'à Wokdi, nous avons une vision. Celle d'offrir aux 400 millions d'utilisateurs de jeux mobiles annoncés par Deloitte en Afrique d'ici 2017, des jeux dans lesquels ils se reconnaissent, des jeux qui sont propres à leur continent et qui font la promotion de leur culture. Et au monde entier, nous voulons offrir non pas que des jeux, mais des livres qui leur ouvrent une lucarne sur la richesse de l'Afrique. Merci. C'était Wokdi.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, je vais passer au jury, qui est la première question. Donc, on a 2 jurys francophones, un jury anglophone. Donc, Nicolas, if you have a question, of course, you'll do yours in English, et les 2 autres en français. Qui se lance? Oui?
Une question sur le côté culture africaine. Ce jeu-là, j'ai l'impression que j'y ai joué moi-même quand j'étais gamin. Donc, c'est plutôt universel. Et en quoi et comment vous voyez ça comme un élément de la culture africaine et comment c'est mis en avant? J'ai compris les choris, j'ai compris les personnages, mais est-ce qu'il y a autre chose? Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose pour renforcer et véhiculer ça dans le jeu?
Hormis les choris qui ont été utilisés et les personnages qui sont africains, nous comptons intégrer, comme nous l'avons dit, des questions. Donc, à la fin de chacun des mondes, après avoir affronté le boss de ce monde, il vous sera posé une question. Et ce boss-là sera tiré de l'histoire africaine. Ça sera certainement des caricatures des personnages africains. Et la question pourrait être, connaissez-vous ce personnage? Avec 2 propositions. Donc, en même temps que les personnes ont pour objectif de gagner des choris et d'avancer dans le jeu, ils apprennent et ils vont connaître davantage de choses sur l'Afrique.
J'ai une question. Donc moi, je ne connaissais pas ce jeu avant votre projet, donc j'ai compris qu'il faut mettre des points pour créer un carré. Comment on progresse dans ce jeu-là? Moi, venant de l'extérieur, j'ai l'impression que c'est toujours la même chose. Est-ce qu'il y a des niveaux? Est-ce qu'il y a des niveaux de complexité? Qu'est-ce qui se passe une fois qu'on a fait un jeu? D'accord. Donc, le principe de base de Point, il est simple. Donc, ayant compris ça, nous avons ajouté de nouveaux éléments au jeu. Nous avons ajouté des limites de temps. Nous avons ajouté des paramètres variables, de sorte à rendre le jeu beaucoup plus fun. Mais à côté de ça, il faut noter que l'intelligence artificielle de Point est adaptative. Ça signifie que plus vous êtes bon, plus l'intelligence artificielle sera bonne. De sorte à ce que tout le monde continue de jouer. Donc vous jouez contre l'ordinateur?
Yeah. Voilà. Vous jouez contre l'ordinateur dans la version qui est disponible actuellement. Mais la version à venir permettra à des personnes de partout dans le monde de s'affronter. Toujours avec ces éléments variables qui viennent épicer un peu la partie.
Comme le temps et quoi d'autre comme élément variable?
Le temps, on a des tremblements de terre, par exemple, qui peuvent arriver. Donc, des points peuvent se déplacer. Et on a aussi les boosts qui peuvent être utilisés. Donc, pendant que tu commences la partie contre quelqu'un, tu ne sais pas forcément les cartes qu'il a. Et donc, il peut utiliser ces cartes à n'importe quel moment pour prendre un avantage décisif. Donc, c'est beaucoup de stratégie.
Au niveau de la monétisation, donc, c'est uniquement les boosts qui sont monétisés ou après on peut jouer, si on ne les utilise pas, on peut jouer autant qu'on veut sans jamais s'arrêter?
Oui, c'est ça. On a la possibilité de jouer beaucoup pour avoir beaucoup de courriers, acheter ces différents boosts ou acheter ces boosts.
Et justement, si donc, avec nos parties gagnées, on peut acheter sans payer vraiment avec du vrai argent. Et quelle est la différence? Je veux dire, pour acheter le même boost, il faut réussir à faire à peu près combien de parties, combien de temps de jeu au lieu de payer pour pouvoir acheter le même bonus?
Bon, pour acheter le même boost, bon, quelqu'un qui met la main à la poche aura le boost immédiatement. Sinon, il faudra peut-être jouer 3 4 fois certains stages. Et quand on revient sur les stages qu'on a déjà gagnés, le nombre de courriers qu'on gagne est moins élevé. Voilà, donc on a fait en sorte que, au fur et à mesure, le jeu se corse et qu'on ait de plus en plus besoin de ces boosts-là.
Nicholas, do you have a question? Do you have a question?
So I have a question around why you see this as a serious game. What metric are you... So traditionally we would say that a serious game isn't just a game for entertainment. It's a game that is trying to deal with a social issue. And a key part of that is being able to measure if that issue is being resolved through the game. So what, and I kind of get that you're saying that you're trying to introduce or sort of reintroduce African culture and export African culture. But how is that measured? How do you know that your game is achieving that purpose?
Est-ce que vous avez besoin d'une traduction, peut-être? Je vais le faire en français, juste pour être sûr que vous compreniez bien. Normalement, traditionnellement, ce qu'on appelle serious game, c'est donc un jeu qui a un peu un focus social sur des questions de société. Donc, il a bien compris que dans votre cas, c'était l'idée de mettre en valeur la culture africaine. Mais normalement, en gros, les métriques par lesquelles on mesure l'efficacité d'un serious game sont là. On peut voir un changement entre la situation d'avant, la situation de maintenant. Dans votre cas, comment est-ce que vous allez mesurer l'impact de votre jeu?
Bon, nous avons quelques chiffres par rapport à l'utilisation de notre jeu. Et donc, comme nous l'avons dit, nous allons intégrer des questions. Donc, plus vous jouerez, et si vous avez bien compris le contexte du monde dans lequel vous êtes, vous devez être à même de pouvoir répondre à la question qui vous sera posée à la fin. Et donc, par rapport au nombre de réponses correctes et au nombre de réponses incorrectes, nous saurons si le jeu a l'impact culturel que nous cherchions.
Donc, en fait, vous utilisez le jeu points, pour amener les gens aux questions qui sont dans le jeu aussi ou aux éléments qu'il y aura dans le monde que vous représentez. Donc, c'est plus un outil vers autre chose. Est-ce que j'ai bien compris ou...
En fait, l'objectif, c'est de pousser les gens à rejouer à ce jeu, d'une part, mais d'autre part, à leur apprendre des choses sur l'Afrique. Et donc, en jouant davantage, ils apprendront beaucoup. Et c'est ce qui est visé. Parce que les jeux serious, bon, quoique c'est un jeu serious, les jeux serious ont tendance à ne pas avoir de grande audience. Voilà, donc c'est pour rectifier ce tir-là que nous avons intégré tous ces éléments variables et tous ces éléments tels que les boosts pour nous assurer qu'on aura un grand nombre de personnes qui joueront à ce jeu.
D'accord.
Je reviens à 2 points, la question de l'audience et puis la question du côté sérieux. Je suis toujours un peu sceptique là-dessus personnellement, parce que l'aspect culturel, il me semble un peu éloigné, pas direct, un peu plaqué. Et par contre, je m'interroge sur l'aspect du jeu lui-même. Qu'est-ce que j'apprends en jouant? C'est quoi? C'est de la logique, c'est de la rapidité, c'est des maths, c'est de la géométrie. L'aspect learning, serious, apprentissage, éducation, je ne sais pas comment on le définit, il est où dans le jeu lui-même?
D'accord. Donc, hormis les éléments culturels qui sont intégrés dans le jeu, on a beaucoup de stratégies qu'on acquiert en jouant à ce jeu. De la stratégie et de la logique. Ce sont les 2 éléments les plus pertinents qu'on apprend en jouant à ce jeu. Après ça, il y a la rapidité, les réflexes, puisqu'il y a des chronos des temps partout et tous ces éléments qu'on a intégrés au jeu.
Et alors, la question connexe, c'est l'audience. Du coup, quelle est l'audience? Ce sont des jeunes, des écoliers, c'est tout le monde, c'est qui?
De par son principe simple,
Et oui, Nick dit où est-ce qu'ils sont? C'est l'Afrique. Bon, c'est un jeu qui véhicule la culture africaine pour qui? Pour les Africains. Est-ce que c'est international? Et parce que du coup, c'est pas la même chose non plus. On ne présente pas l'Afrique ou la culture africaine aux Africains eux-mêmes et à ceux qui ne sont pas africains de la même façon. Comment vous voyez ça?
nous comptons, par rapport au contexte, au contexte du monde, faire comprendre ou bien amener l'utilisateur et le joueur à comprendre et à savoir qui c'est qu'il affrontera comme boss à la fin du monde. Mais la cible n'est pas que l'Afrique. La cible, c'est aussi le monde entier. Parce que pour le monde, nous voulons faire découvrir cette culture-là qui est la nôtre. Et donc, connaître nos personnages, les mettre en avant davantage. Donc, ce n'est pas que l'Afrique. Pour l'Afrique, certes, on apprendra, certes, on redécouvrira des jeux qui seront propres à notre culture, mais pour le monde entier, c'est un élément qui va permettre de mettre en valeur notre culture et d'apprendre beaucoup de stratégies et de logique.
Et je reviens sur l'audience, ça veut dire quoi en termes d'âge? Filles, garçons, grands, petits, 12, 15, 8 ans?
Par son principe simple, le jeu de points, c'est compréhensible par tout le monde. Donc, la cible que nous visions est de 3 ans à plus. Clara, est-ce que tu peux montrer? On a quelques chiffres par rapport à l'âge et puis au genre des utilisateurs de points. Donc, on peut voir que c'est vraiment varié. Tout le monde y joue, que ce soit les garçons, que ce soit les filles et de tout âge. Après le dernier slide, j'ai mis ça au cas où la question serait posée. Non, après ça. Après. Voilà. Donc, on voit ici que c'est autant joué par les femmes que par les hommes et que la tranche d'âge, eh bien, tout le monde y joue.
23% de femmes, 39% d'hommes, 38% d'inconnus.
Parce que tout le monde ne partage pas son genre. C'est des informations qui ne sont pas toujours partagées.
Okay. Et surtout 18-24, si
voilà,
j'arrive bien
surtout.
à lire.
Donc, notre plus grand nombre d'utilisateurs se trouve dans cette tranche d'âge.
Donc, ce n'est pas forcément les écoliers, les petits, les enfants ou les ados, alors?
Bon, c'est une moyenne que nous avons ici, mais ça concerne tout le monde.
Et nous sommes arrivés à la fin du temps imparti. Donc voilà, c'est la fin pour ce pitch-là. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, everyone. So this was the last candidate for the serious games category. We're now going to take a 30-minute break, and we'll be back here at 3:30 for the last category, which is a big combined one with web creation, transmedia. It's going to be very exciting, so please be back here in 30 minutes in the room. Thank you.